Today I'm building the strongest pirate crew in One Piece. I'll go through every role on the ship and pick the best possible character for that role, and at the very end of the video, we'll be left with the most overpowered crew you've ever seen. The first member every crew needs is of course a ship, as you can't really be a pirate without one. Obviously, Roger and the Emperors have the strongest ships in the series, except for Kaido, who apparently doesn't even have a ship. Now, while we don't know of which material most of the Emperor's ships were built of, we do know that Roger's ship, 𝐿 is made out of wood from tree atom, a rare tree considered to be the most durable in the entire world. This alone makes 𝐿 a good contender for the best ship in One Piece, but there's actually two more ships that we need to consider first. For example, Big Mom's ship, Queen Mama Chanter, is a giant ship with many cool features, but it has one problem. This ship is heavily reliant on Big Mom's abilities, so if she isn't there to power it, it would instantly become much weaker or maybe even stop working altogether. And the final ship we need to consider is everyone's favorite, 𝐿 Sunny. As you already know, this is the Straw Hat ship, and it's also made from tree atoms wood, same as 𝐿. However, besides that, it also has some really cool additions, like for example, 𝐾𝐫 the Burst, which lets the ship jump away from danger. So between the 𝐿 and the 𝐿 Sunny, I think the 𝐿 Sunny takes the crown as the strongest ship in One Piece, simply because it's one of the most technologically advanced ships in the series and was created by Iceberg and Frankie, who are both legendary shipwrights. Now that we have a ship, we can start assembling our overpowered crew, which will consist of 11 members in total. And for starters, we need someone to pilot the ship. Believe it or not, there's only 4 known helmsmen in the entire series, so our options for this role are pretty limited. First we have Hakugan, the helmsman of the Heart Pirates, and same as the majority of this crew, he's a complete weakling and wouldn't contribute to our crew in any way. Next is Jesus Burgess, the helmsman of the Blackbeard Pirates. He used to be quite weak on Dressrosa, but has since then obtained the Riki no Mi, which granted him inhuman strength. He can now casually pick up mountains and smash the subscribe button harder than anyone else. You probably can't smash it as hard as him, but you're free to try to. Thanks. Anyway, despite this, there's still 2 more contenders for this position who are likely even stronger than Burgess. The first one is Jinbei, the helmsman of the Straw Hat Pirates. Recently, during the Wano arc, Jinbei showed us just how powerful his fisherman karate can be, which caused his bounty to rise to over 1 billion berries. Now, it would be pretty much impossible to guess who's stronger between Jinbei and Burgess, as we know very little about Burgess's actual strength, so I guess it's a good thing that we don't actually have to rank them, since the final One Piece helmsman is so much stronger than both of them. You may consider this cheating, but Shiki of the Golden Lions Pirates is listed to be both captain and helmsman of his crew, so I guess it's fair. Shiki was one of Roger's greatest rivals, who commanded the biggest fleet on the seas, and after Roger was captured, he went to Marineford and fought against both Garp and Sengoku at the same time. Okay, it's pretty obvious that Shiki is the strongest helmsman in the story, but there's still 10 roles on the ship left that are much more important than this one. For example, when times get rough and someone falls ill, a doctor is necessary to make sure everything is fine, and we have a few talented doctors to choose from. Firstly, we of course have to mention the Straw Hat's Dr. Chopper, who's aiming to become the best doctor in the world. Now, although his medical skills and knowledge are among the best in the series, in terms of strength, Chopper is significantly weaker than some of the other doctors we can choose from. Another potential candidate is Doc Q, who's gotta be super strong due to all the overpowered devil fruits Blackbeard Pirates stole. But considering we know nothing specific about him and his powers, Doc Q gets a pass for now. This only leaves us with 2 possible candidates, Law and Marco. Marco has decades of fighting experience and has been on Whitebeard's crew since he was a kid. He's shown us time and time how strong he is, fighting admirals on Marineford, making a complete joke out of King and Queen, and even briefly overwhelming Big Mom. Law, on the other hand, is one of the strongest members of the Worst Generation and has played a big part in taking down the previous 2 emperors. I think a lot of fans would agree that Marco is a bit stronger between the 2, however, Law has one thing going for him, his devil fruit 𝐿𝐵𝐿 no Mi. With it, Law can perform miraculous surgeries and can save people from pretty much any injury. I don't doubt Marco is also an incredible doctor, but he can't hope to compete with Law here, which means that the official doctor for our crew will be Trafalgar D. Law. And although doctor is a really important role, this next one is possibly the most important one, as without it, the crew could never find the One Piece, the archaeologist. The job of archaeologists is to decipher the poneglyphs and find the location of Laugh-Tale, and due to how hard this is, we're very limited in our choices since only a few pirates in the entire show can do this. One of them is Clover, who was revealed to be a pirate before becoming a scholar on Ohara, but he's super weak, so we'll have to look for someone else. Another one is Charlotte Pudding, who should be able to read the poneglyphs when she awakens her third eye, if she awakens it, but until that happens, there's a couple more better candidates. Of course, one of them is Nico Robin, who can both read the poneglyphs and is also a capable fighter due to her incredible devil fruit. But although she's a good candidate, there's one person who's just better at this role in every single way. Kozuki Oden. Oden's insane power in Haki left a permanent wound on Kaido and even surprised both Whitebeard and Roger. It's also a plus that he already successfully led the Roger Pirates to Laugh Tale once, so he's without a doubt the best character for this position. However, adding Oden to the crew creates a small problem. All members are now close quarter fighters, so in order to balance it out a bit, we need to recruit a sniper next. Choosing the best sniper will be hard, but thankfully there's tons of skilled snipers to choose from. There's some obvious ones like Yasopp and Usopp, father and son who are both excellent snipers, or Charlotte Perospero, Big Mom's eldest son who can use his Devil Fruit ability to create sharp candy arrows. However, many people also forget how good of a marksman Izo is. He was one of Whitebeard Pirate's strongest members and played a big role in freeing Wano. And of course, we have to mention Blackbeard Pirate's Van Augur, who showed us how good of a sniper he is when we first met him all the way back on Jaya. There, he shot down some birds from at least 10 kilometers away. Since then, he probably got much stronger as well due to the Devil Fruit he ate, Wapu Wapu no Mi, which lets him teleport wherever he wants. So out of all the snipers we just mentioned, the two who stand out the most are Yasopp and Van Augur. Now, I just talked about how insane Van Augur is, however, I think that Yasopp might actually be better than him for one simple reason. He's almost double Van Augur's age, which means he's much more combat experience, and just the fact that he's one of the main officers of the Red Hair Pirates should be enough to grant him a place in our crew. And you can't have a functional crew without someone to fix the ship when it gets damaged, which means we need the shipwright next. Now this might come as a surprise to you, but shipwright is actually not a standard position on the ship apparently, as only a couple of crews have one. For example, the crew with the most shipwrights are actually the Foxy Pirates, but come on, let's be real here, do you seriously remember any of these guys? Yeah, didn't think so. Some of the other candidates for the best shipwright are Nigire Yainu, the shipwright of the Black Cat Pirates, and Kaneshiro, the shipwright of the Arlong Pirates. And yeah, both of these don't sound like a good option either. There's also Stanson, a giant from the auction house on Salbadi, who after getting back to Elbaf, joined the new giant warrior pirates as a shipwright. And even though a giant shipwright would be a pretty cool choice for our crew, there's actually one more shipwright who's much more fitting for the role. Of course, I'm talking about everyone's favorite shipwright, Franky. Besides being an excellent shipwright, Franky's also a really powerful fighter due to his cyborg body and weapons. And even though it doesn't mean much, I have to give Franky some credit for blowing a giant hole through Saint Saturn, which is pretty badass if you ask me. Okay, this crew's already pretty amazing, but an amazing crew like this also deserves an amazing cook to keep them all satisfied. However, it can't just be any cook, as they also have to be powerful enough to be accepted on the ship with these beasts. So is there anyone that would fit the role? For example, the one possible candidate is Streusen, the cook of the Big Mom Pirates. He's surely a really skilled cook as he was able to guide a team of chefs to craft an immensely complicated wedding cake, and was also strong enough to withstand a burst of Big Mom's Conqueror's Haki. However, a much better cook than him is obviously Sanji, who can make a delicious meal out of any ingredient and is also crazy strong. Especially after awakening his Germa abilities, this gave him enough power to defeat Queen, and just recently he was shown to be completely unaffected by S-Shark's attacks. Another great cook, possibly even stronger than Sanji, is Lucky Roo of the Red-Haired Pirates, though just like the rest of this crew, his real power is still a mystery. So until more is revealed about Roo, Sanji will be the cook of the strongest One Piece crew. Now, although this crew just keeps getting stronger and stronger, no matter how strong they get, they won't be able to survive the crazy weather of the Grand Line by themselves. And that's why they'd need a skilled navigator. Nami would be an obvious pick for this position, as she saved the Straw Hats from drowning on many occasions. Also, since teaming up with Zeus, she's become a formidable fighter, capable of holding her own. But even with Zeus's help, it's really hard to imagine Nami being stronger than Lafitte of the Blackbeard Pirates. Admittedly, we don't know much about the guy, but he has to be super strong, and also seems to have some kind of Zoan devil fruits that grant him wings. The only other candidate besides these two is one of the Red Hair Pirates' less known officers, Building Snake. He's been on Shanks' crew for at least 12 years, and considering that he carries swords with him, he must also be a skilled fighter. Still, considering everything at this point in the story, I'm willing to bet that Lafitte is the strongest navigator in this series, so I'll have to choose him as the navigator for our crew. There are still 4 roles on the ship left to fill, and next we need a skilled musician. Someone who can cheer the crew up and prepare them for hard battles ahead. Scratch Minapu is an interesting musician, and he seemed like the most capable out of all Supernova during Salbadi arc. The man even managed to land a hit on Kizaru. However, once we saw more of him, I can safely say that he's the worst Supernova, as his Devil Fruit ability can be completely countered by plugging your ears. A much better choice for a musician would be Brook, who would surely defeat Apu in a battle, and is also better at playing music since he's been practicing for over 50 years while being stranded in the Florian Triangle. Over the last 2 years, Brook's combat abilities have improved a lot, and he also unlocked his fruit's full potential, allowing him to infuse his sword with his soul to give it freezing properties. Another possible candidate is Black Maria, who's for sure stronger than Brook and is also pretty skilled at playing music, but I don't think either of these two is strong enough to be on the crew, and that's why I want to introduce another musician, the Red Hair Pirate's senior officer, Bonk Punch. Now, I wouldn't usually put someone without any feats on this crew, but considering the competition for this role is really weak, I just don't see a world in which Bonk Punch isn't the strongest musician in the story at this point. Now, before we choose the vice captain and the captain for this crew, we first need to answer the most important question: who will be the crew's pet? Now, just to clarify, only the real pets count for this role, so Chopper and Beppo are out since they aren't actually pets. For example, Camel, 𝐿 pet penguin, is pretty useful since he can never sink, meaning the crew can use him to evacuate if the ship is ever destroyed. Another cool pet is 𝐷𝐗𝑄's Stronger, who ate a devil fruit which turned him into a Pegasus. However, just by looking at him, I don't think he'd be able to help the crew in any meaningful way. On the other hand, Boa's snake, Salome, seems useful for its ability to track people down, but then again, anyone remotely strong could just squish it. In terms of raw power and durability, Kraken, or 𝐶𝐸 as Luffy named him, has to be the strongest pet there is. When Kraken first met and attacked the Straw Hats, he was able to survive attacks from Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy, and when they later met up on Fishman Island, he knocked out over 100 fishmen on his own. Also, you can't deny how cool the crew would look with Kraken accompanying them. There's only 2 roles on the crew left to fill, and you'll definitely be surprised when you see who'll be the captain of this crew. But before that, let's choose the second most important role, the Vice Captain. The Vice Captain is most often the second strongest person on the ship. However, considering how overpowered this crew is already, I'm not sure if that will be possible in this situation. Since we're looking for the strongest of the strong, even someone like King with his flaming Lunarian blood and powerful devil fruit will not cut it. So how about Zoro, the guy who defeated King and will keep growing by the day until he becomes the strongest swordsman? Well, until that happens and he actually surpasses Mihawk, I don't think he's strong enough for this crew. Now, it's tricky to talk about Red Hair's vice captain, Ben Beckman, because just like the rest of his crew, everything about him's a mystery. The only fight we saw him participate in was against those mountain bandits on Dawn Island, and that's not all that impressive. However, he does seem to hold a big deal of respect in the One Piece world, as even Kizaru was pretty cautious when Ben had a gun pointed at his head. But despite this, there's another vice captain who we know much more about and who would be perfect for this crew, the Dark King, Rayleigh. We've seen this guy fight on multiple occasions. For example, in his prime, during his fight against Marco, who's Whitebeard's best fighter, Rayleigh was toying with him, stopping Marco's attack with a single finger. Even as an old man in his 70s, he was still able to fight evenly against Admiral Kizaru and escape unharmed. Even after the time skip, his hockey output was so great it made Blackbeard run away. No doubt in my mind, Rayleigh deserves this spot more than any other vice captain. Okay, the crew now needs just one more member, and this final member is the most important one, the captain. This is someone who would need to command this monstrous crew and whom everyone would respect. Also keep in mind that the captain has to be stronger than everyone else or nobody will take him seriously. Is there even a person like that? Well, the best place to start looking are the 4 emperors, who are all monsters who will play a role in changing the world forever. In this group, we have Luffy, who time and time again breaks his limits in order to save his friends, Blackbeard, who has somehow consumed multiple devil fruits and will crush anyone to become the Pirate King, and Shanks, who's shrouded in mystery and most likely the strongest pirate alive. Now, although these are all good picks, before them there was a generation of even stronger pirates. One of these pirates is Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world, feared by everyone for his immense power. He clashed daily with other powerful figures and could not be defeated even as he grew old and sick. But even stronger than him is Roger, who conquered the seas without any devil fruits and became the Pirate King with his otherworldly strength and hockey. However, not even these 2 characters are the strongest captains in One Piece, because that title goes to someone on a completely different level. The character I'm talking about is Roxy Xebec, a famous pirate who commanded the strongest pirate crew ever. The reason I said that he's even more powerful than Roger is because during the God Valley incident, Roger had to team up with Garp in order to finally bring this guy down, which just goes to show how terrifying Rox was. If there's anyone strong enough to command this ridiculous pirate crew he created, it's got to be him. Ranking the strongest pirates is cool, but did you know that the fighters from the world government are on a completely different level? Click on this video next, where we rank all world government fighters in One Piece.